Hello everyone. My video is about a 2015 movie called Risen, which is based off of the events that happened in the New Testament for Jesus Christ during the time of his crucifixion and resurrection. In short, it's about a Roman centurion soldier named Clavius, who tells the story within his eyes of how the Christ had risen from the cross and ascended to heaven. Through trial and tribulation, he questions everyone. He talks to everyone. He's being forced to do this by Pontius Pilate, who knows that Caesar's coming to Jerusalem, and he's going to rain terror on everyone if he finds out that the Christian revolution has not been quelled. But Clavius attempts to try to find out a way to quell the revolution, but the third day after the crucifixion, as we know, Jesus' resurrection occurred, and he has no answers for why the resurrection occurred. So he questions everyone, and he tries to get people to tell him where the body was at, because the Jewish religious sect thinks that the body was stolen and it's a lie, and Jesus did not arise from the dead. But by the end of the movie, he finds out through his own self-investigating that Jesus indeed had risen from the dead. He sees Jesus amongst the disciples in a secret meeting in Jerusalem, and he begins to follow them, and through days and days of following them to Galilee. That's where the disciples were going to meet Jesus. He befriends the disciples. He saves them from a terrible fate of being captured by the Roman soldiers. He befriends them, and he begins to understand the Christian religion. And Jesus appears while the disciples are fishing, and he unites with Jesus. Clavius does, and Clavius talks to Jesus, and Jesus forgives him for everything, being part of the crucifixion, and decides to accept him as a Christian, and wants him to talk to God about being part of this kingdom. That's it in a nutshell as far as the my synopsis is. So my synopsis would probably be more favorable to the movie. I liked the movie because the movie really showed the resurrection and crucifixion and resurrection from the perspective of a Roman soldier who was part of the execution of Jesus Christ, and he realized that God is real, the Lord is real, and everyone, all the disciples are true and faithful to the Lord, and he wants to be a part of that sect, that Christianity. And what I found out was that it got us Rotten Tomatoes, and I gave it like a 6 points out of 10, or 64%. It's because more than likely it's got a sort of a low rating. I love the movie. It got sort of a low rating because people want Christianity. Some people who criticize movies want Christianity to be more I don't know, on the excellent mark. They want Christianity to be more get a higher rating than regular movies. They rate it lower because they expect more out of a Christian movie. That's what I believe. But in keeping up with Sager, there is a central happening there. The first question is the crucifixion, and how they're going to handle the crucifixion, or how Clavius handled the crucifixion, and how the what you would call the Jewish sect was forcing the Romans to handle the crucifixion, which Clavius was dead set against, and he was reluctant to go on the search to find out if Christ indeed had risen from the dead or if his body was stolen. And there's a climax in the story when Clavius decides that he no longer wants to be a part of the Roman Empire. He's more curious to find out about the new thing called Christianity. So he relinquishes his position as a great Roman soldier, a prefect, and he decides to become a Christian with the guidance of the resurrected Jesus. And I liked the character Clavius. Yeah, and number 3, I liked the character Clavius. He was really hard to understand in the beginning, but then he became very easy to understand gradually. He could have killed more people or executed more people if he thought they were lying, but he didn't do that. And the short the short point of the movie is from crucifixion all the way to the resurrection. It happened quickly. To find the truth, the point of view of the truth that happened from the resurrection to the to the crucifixion to the resurrection. It had a strong relationship. I believe there's a strong relationship happened between Lord Jesus and Clavius, because even though he was on the cross, Lord Jesus was well aware of Clavius's presence at his crucifixion, and he brought Clavius to him to be to testify and ask forgiveness forgiveness from him, and for forgiveness from God. And the story could be told visually, because there were so many sights and sounds that you could see the expressions on everyone's face that showed that the true meaning of Christianity, the true meaning of love, the true meaning of living, dying, and then being resurrected again, which shows that this could happen to us as if we keep our faith in Christians in Jesus Christ. This very same thing could happen with us if we trust and love God, love Jesus, and love Mother Mary. It shows it's a visual telling. It shows great visual telling on the resurrection, and they even showed the ancient shroud of Turin and how that might have occurred with the brilliant light that reflected in the cave or the tomb where Jesus was at, and that reflected his image on the cloth. And I thought that was neat that they did that. And I believe that when Clavius decides to turn to God, there's the climax exhorted itself, because he really didn't understand. He always thought Mars was his god, and he always believed in various gods. So when he's seen Jesus appear after his death, and he's seen Jesus ascend into heaven, he knew that there was only one true God. And he wanted to make sure that he was a part of the Christian religion, and that he would be forgiven for all of his sins. And that's about it in a nutshell, as far as I can give you. The screenplay and the movie were really great. Was really great, and it was based on the Bible. So I love these biblical movies, Christian movies. It gives someone a little food for thought every once in a while. And I really enjoyed the movie. I loved the characters. I loved the actors. I like how everything came together, and how after Clavius had searched for so long to try to find out the truth of everything, the truth was right there in front of him, and he talked to the Lord and found out that the Lord indeed was the Son of God. And when he seen the Lord ascended to heaven, he was really, really taken by it. He took his Centurion reign off, or his reign and gave it to the store clerk that he was telling the story to as payment. And that is how the story ended. He walked off into the sunset. He was full of the Christian life, full of the Holy Ghost, and he stayed that way forever. Thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate the time. I know I went over again, but forgive me for that. Everyone have a nice evening. Thank you very much, and good night.